My name's Ethan Cole. I was 16 when my mom moved us to a small town in Pennsylvania called Harriston, one of those quiet, woodsy towns where everyone seems to know each other and the high school looks like it's been standing there since the Civil War. We'd just moved from Chicago after my dad passed away. Mom said she needed a fresh start. I didn't argue, but I wasn't thrilled about being the new kid halfway through junior year. The first morning of school, the air was cold, foggy. Harriston High stood at the edge of town, surrounded by trees that looked almost black against the grey sky. The building itself was huge, old red brick, tall windows, a clock tower that didn't seem to work anymore. When I walked up to the front doors, I noticed something strange. One of the windows above the entrance had a crack running through it, like a spider web. And for just a second, I thought I saw someone standing there, a shadow, pale and still, looking down at me. Then I blinked, and it was gone. Inside, the hallways were crowded with students. Lockers slamming, sneakers squeaking on tile floors, teachers shouting directions. The usual chaos. But underneath the noise, there was something else, a weird tension in the air, like the whole building was holding its breath. My first class was history with Mr. Hargrove. When I walked in, everyone stopped talking for a second, typical new kid treatment. The teacher gave me a polite smile, handed me a textbook, and told me to take a seat in the back. As I sat down, the girl next to me leaned over. "You're new, right?" "Yeah," I said. "Ethan." "I'm Riley." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "You got stuck with this class first period?" "Rough luck." I laughed awkwardly. "Why's that?" She didn't answer right away. Then, in a low voice, she said, "You'll see." Class went on as usual. Mr. Hargrove lectured about post-war America, and I tried to stay awake. But about halfway through, the lights flickered. Everyone looked up. It wasn't just a quick blink, they flickered on and off 3 times, in a slow rhythm, before settling again. Mr. Hargrove sighed. "Old wiring," he muttered. "This place is 100 years old." But Riley leaned closer to me. "It's not the wiring," she whispered. "It's him." I gave her a puzzled look. "Who?" She didn't respond, just stared at the back of the classroom, where the door to the storage closet stood slightly ajar. After class, I asked her again what she meant. She just shook her head. "Forget it. Just don't go near that room." The rest of the day was fine, boring, normal. I met a few other kids, got lost twice, ate lunch alone. By last period, I'd almost convinced myself that Riley was just messing with me. Then the fire alarm went off. It wasn't the usual blaring alarm, more like a long, distorted tone that echoed weirdly through the halls. Everyone froze. Then the intercom crackled to life. A voice, low, hoarse, said, "Remain in your classrooms." Teachers looked confused. One of them said the principal hadn't planned a drill. We stayed put. Minutes passed. The hallway lights dimmed slightly, and the sound of the alarm faded into silence. I glanced toward the door and realized something. The air outside was moving, like a faint ripple of heat. Then the doorknob turned, slowly. Everyone gasped. Mr. Hargrove stood up. "Who's out there?" he called. No answer. He walked to the door, opened it, and the hallway was empty. At least, that's what I thought until I noticed the faint trail of wet footprints leading away, small ones, barefoot, like a child's. That's when Riley whispered, "It's starting again." After school ended, I tried to ask her about it, but she bolted out the door before I could catch up. I walked home alone through the cold fog, replaying everything in my head, the flickering lights, the footprints, the weird voice. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., I heard something faint, a scraping sound, like fingernails dragging across glass. I sat up and saw the window above my desk fogged up from the cold. And written in the condensation were 2 words, "Come back." I didn't sleep after that. The next morning, I told myself it was just my imagination. Maybe it had been written from the outside by condensation patterns, whatever. But when I got to school, I noticed everyone seemed tense. Kids were whispering, glancing over their shoulders. During homeroom, the principal came on the intercom. His voice sounded shaky. "Students, please stay calm. There's no cause for alarm, but some areas of the building will be closed today for maintenance." Whispers erupted. Riley turned in her seat and mouthed, "Room 212. That was our history class. When I got there, the door was taped off with yellow maintenance tape. Mr. Hargrove stood nearby, talking quietly to another teacher. I caught a glimpse inside. The desks had been pushed aside, and there was a dark stain spreading across the floor. It looked like water at first, but it wasn't. Later that day, Riley found me at lunch. "You saw it, didn't you?" "Yeah," I said. "What happened?" She hesitated, then leaned in. "You're not going to believe me. But there's something wrong with this school. It started before I was born. Before most of the teachers were even here." She told me about a student named Caleb Moore, a boy who went missing back in 1985. He was quiet, shy, always reading alone. One day he was sent to the storage room during detention to clean old desks. He never came out. At first, people thought he'd run away. But then the strange stuff started: flickering lights, voices over the intercom, footsteps in empty hallways. And sometimes, students claimed they saw him, a pale kid with wet hair, standing just beyond the classroom doors. The room he vanished from. Riley said, "It's right behind our history class. Room 212. I tried to laugh it off, but she wasn't smiling. That night, curiosity got the better of me. I stayed late after basketball tryouts, waited until the halls were empty, and slipped upstairs. The tape across room 212 was gone. The hallway lights flickered, and the air felt colder the closer I got. I pushed open the door. The smell hit me first: mold, dust, and something else, metallic and sharp. The classroom was dark except for a faint blue glow from the smartboard. Desks were scattered around like someone had moved them in a hurry. The storage closet door was open. I hesitated, then stepped inside. The closet was small, shelves stacked with old textbooks, chairs, and broken equipment. But at the back, half hidden under a top, was a mirror. It wasn't cracked or dirty. It looked new. Too new. And for a second, my reflection didn't move. I froze. I lifted my hand. My reflection stayed still. Then, slowly, it raised its hand, a beat too late, and smiled. I stumbled backward, my flashlight shaking. The reflection stepped closer, its face pale and wet-looking, eyes completely black. I turned and ran out of the room. When I looked back, the door was closed again. The next morning, the principal announced over the intercom that the East Wing would be temporarily closed for renovations. No explanation. Riley caught up to me between classes. "You went there, didn't you?" she said. I nodded. "There's a mirror in that room. Something's wrong with it." She paled. "They found it last year, after a pipe burst. They say it wasn't there before, like it appeared overnight. Every time someone looks into it too long, things start happening." "What kind of things?" I asked. She swallowed. "People disappear. That night, I tried to tell my mom everything. She brushed it off as stress. Said new schools were hard, that I was probably dreaming. But the next morning, when I looked in the bathroom mirror, there was condensation again, even though the air was cold and dry. And written across it, in smeared letters, "See you soon." I refused to go back to school the next day, but Mom made me. Said I couldn't skip just because of a nightmare. When I got there, the halls were quiet. Too quiet. The lights were dimmer than usual, and there were fewer kids around. Riley wasn't at her locker. Mr. Hargrove wasn't in class. The intercom crackled again. "Ethan Cole, please report to room 212. My blood ran cold. I stood frozen while everyone else stared at me. "Go on," someone said. "They called you," I walked through the silent halls. When I reached the east wing, the door to room 212 was wide open, though it was supposed to be sealed. The mirror was still there, standing upright in the center of the room now. My reflection looked wrong, pale, blurred, like it was underwater. I stepped closer. The reflection smiled. Then it reached out, and I swear I saw the surface ripple, like water disturbed by a drop. Something pulled at my chest. I stumbled back, but my reflection didn't mimic me. It stepped forward, pressing its hand against the inside of the glass. I ran. I didn't stop until I was outside, gasping for air. The principal and a few teachers were standing near the entrance, looking confused. I tried to explain, but when I looked back through the front doors, the hallway behind me was empty. No mirror. No room. Just brick wall. They said there was no room 212. That the old east wing had been closed and rebuilt years ago after a fire. I swore I'd been there. I told them about the mirror, the voice, everything. They just exchanged worried looks. The principal told my mom I might be adjusting poorly. But that night, as I was lying in bed, I got a text. It was from a number I didn't recognize. No profile picture. It said, "You're late, Ethan." Then another, "Class starts soon." My phone buzzed again, this time a photo. It was me. Sitting at a desk. In room 212. Only I wasn't alone. A pale boy with black eyes sat behind me, smiling. The next morning, my mom found my phone on the floor beside my bed. The police came, searched the woods, checked every camera in the area. They found nothing. No one ever saw me again. But sometimes, students at Harriston High say they hear footsteps down the east wing late at night. The lights flicker and the intercom crackles to life.